El Dorado International Airport, Bogota, Colombia. Security threats, illegal immigration, and contraband. Every airport has its fair share. But El Dorado is special. It's Colombia's biggest airport and one of the busiest in Latin America. Officials here are on the front lines for containing Colombia's most infamous export, cocaine. And smugglers will try anything to move their product. With a flight departing every 7 minutes, officers race against the clock to put a stop to illegal activity. 24/7, 365, the flights never stop. Nor does the work of the men and women of El Dorado's airport security. "500 police officers patrol El Dorado's facilities. A new day begins with a new shift. The officer's duty: guarantee the safety of the over 70,000 passengers traveling through this airport's terminals in the next 24 hours, and stop the flow of contraband that moves with them. A flight to Mexico readies for departure. With only a few minutes remaining, officers scramble to complete a crucial bag check in an area they call the Reconciliation Lounge. Finally, only the luggage of the last 2 passengers remains. It belongs to a young woman and her stepmother.
The first passenger, the stepdaughter, is asked about her bag. "Is this your bag? The one that was over there?" She says yes.
A drug-sniffing dog approaches the bag and immediately reacts to narcotics.
When she sees that we're going to check her, that we have the bag right in front of us, now she says it's not her bag.
Esta maleta es suya, ¿cierto? La única que tengo es esta, mira. Esta es mi maleta. ¿Y esta? Esa yo en ningún momento le he pasado. Si quieres revisa que tengo todos mis objetos personales.
Pero esta maleta está registrada. Permítame su tiquete, por favor. Bueno, acá viene esto, es cuando se manda las maletas por la bodega, con este número se identifica la maleta del pasajero. ¿Listo?
Sí.
Entonces,
pero en este momento, o sea, la única maleta que cargo es esta.
Esa porque usted mandó esa por bodega del avión. Y aquí está el papel.
Tú me acabaste de decir que esa maleta era tuya. Te acabé de preguntar, me dijiste que esa maleta era tuya.
¿Cuál maleta? Tú me dices, es esta.
That's her bag. The number on the bag corresponds with her claim number. It has to be hers. She says no. Now she's a little agitated.
Mira,
Yo te digo,
Inspeccioné la maleta y listo.
Vamos a confirmar el número 719534, 719534. Listo. Te me haces el favor y me abres la maleta.
¿Cómo la voy a abrir? O sea, no tengo llave.
Si no tiene llave.
Miren, en mi cartera y en mi bolso no tengo llaves de ninguna especie.
The passenger claims the bag isn't hers and cannot open it, which makes the officers even more suspicious.
¿Autoriza que se le rompa el candado?
Una sustancia, boleta, bla, bla.
Tengo una instrucción en satélite 5 hacia 6.
Ok, ya le solicito a la policía.
At El Dorado's 10 security checkpoints, the activity is non-stop.
Disculpe, buenos días. ¿Usted es Ana Manuel? ¿Me permite su cédula, por favor? Claro que sí.
Motivo de su viaje a Panamá.
Yo voy a Panamá.
Vive allá en Panamá.
The agents question every passenger. On average, 1 out of every 20 are transferred to the body scan room. There, the body scan machine can detect suspicious objects inside people's bodies. It's X-ray technology common to the world's major airports since 2008.
Esta es la oficina de la Policía Nacional. El control consiste en pasar por esta máquina, verificar que no lleven elementos extraños en su organismo. ¿Listo? Sí, claro. Tome aire y sosténgalo. Se retiran los zapatos, por favor. Usted también.
Siguiente.
The officers have their sights on a young man traveling to Mexico.
Se logra detectar gracias al primer filtro.
We flagged him during the body search, which is the first check we do at the airport.
Incorporar a las personas, que se le realiza a todas las personas que van a viajar.
This is done on all individuals who are traveling out of the country.
Anomalía dentro de lo que tiene.
He seems suspicious, so we send him to the body scan room to conduct a more effective search.
Un control más efectivo.
Once through the body scan, as the images show, there are shapes that are not consistent with the human body, not only externally, but also internally.
The passenger has not only ingested suspicious substances, but it looks like he may be carrying a series of objects taped to his body.
So I proceeded to do a body search, and I found a diaper attached with tape. When I removed it, there were some capsules. In this case, we see two ways of smuggling. We find that the person has ingested capsules filled with cocaine, and obviously, the person, knowing he cannot ingest anymore, takes advantage of the situation and tapes the rest to his body.
Ahora vamos a realizar una prueba. Esta prueba contiene unos químicos que al hacer contacto con lo que usted tiene aquí nos va a arrojar cuál es el elemento que usted tiene. Caballero, da tonalidad azul positivo para cocaína. Cocaína.
Anti-narcotics police are in the process of inspecting the bag of a female passenger. Since she denies being the owner, the officers break the lock.
We see some jackets, and inside of these jackets there are some blocks that we think, based on our experience, are blocks of cocaine. I was a bit surprised because their smuggling method was so obvious. There was no false compartment in the suitcase. The drugs were not really covered with anything. They were easy to find.
Vamos a hacer aquí un pulso para verificar qué es lo que lleva la chaqueta protectora. ¿Listo? Nos arroja una sustancia pulverulenta blanca.
Esta persona en estos momentos
At this moment, this person realizes that we've discovered the true contents of the suitcase.
tiene esta maleta.
So she faints. She falls to the ground.
The woman has fainted, and she's not responding to attempts to revive her.
Saturación de 92.
Contacto con paciente inconsciente, no responde estímulo doloroso. Mándame una móvil, mándame una móvil.
The body scan room, El Dorado Airport. The police unit here captures about 10 people a month attempting to smuggle drugs in their body. Officers have just detained a young man who ingested capsules filled with cocaine and used a disposable diaper to carry another 44 capsules.
Hasta el momento se han encontrado 44 cápsulas. Ya en este momento ya está en calidad de capturado. Siéntese esta naval. Le preguntamos.
We asked the individual how many he swallowed, and we also let him know that he needs to start expelling them from his body.
Usted ingirió las cápsulas. Esta tarde. ¿Ya tiene necesidad para ir a expulsar de una vez? Porque ya ahorita están en riesgo de su vida también, en caso tal de que llegue a estallarse alguna dentro de su organismo.
Ya ubicaron
¿Ah?
la equipación.
¿Cómo?
No se estallan.
Sí, pero se corre un riesgo. Entre más rápido las expulses, mucho mejor.
En un hospital, yo las expulsaré.
Ah, bueno.
A ruptured capsule would result in a serious drug overdose. And if the drug is cocaine, the outcome could mean a stroke or sudden death.
González, pues vamos ingresando en toda la bolsa. La expulsión.
The time it takes to pass all the drugs he's ingested varies. It generally takes between 12 hours and 5 days.
5 días.
Listo.
The passenger is no longer traveling to Mexico. His destination now is the nearest hospital. Based solely on the 44 capsules of cocaine carried in his disposable diaper, he could face an 8-year sentence. Illicit substances are not the only concern for El Dorado's officers. Certain day-to-day items are prohibited from being stowed in carry-on luggage. Seized items end up in the prohibited object storage area. Here, every month, officials pile up more than a ton of scissors, knives, lighters, alcoholic beverages, creams, and other dangerous objects. In the reconciliation room, a female suspect is still unconscious after fainting suddenly.
Sí, afirma, tiene pulso, pero no me responde estímulos olorosos.
Everything indicates that the suitcase holds cocaine.
Sucede a menudo.
It happens often. When the person knows they have been discovered, then they faint, or they feign illness. They think they can hinder our efforts to find the drugs they are attempting to smuggle to other countries.
¿Saben el nombre de alguien? Tiene signos vitales de reacción con gotas alemanas. Quietica, quietica.
The police continue to investigate whether the packages she intended to smuggle to Mexico contain cocaine.
Manuela, voy a mirar para allá, por favor.
Entonces, continuamos. Esta es la prueba que te voy a hacer para verificar si es cocaína. Azul, positivo para cocaína. Entonces, a partir de este momento, usted queda capturada por ley 30, que es tráfico, fabricación y porte de estupefacientes.
Al momento no confirmada la otra todavía.
The officers still have to check the other suitcase.
Cuando pasé, cogí esto, mi maleta, estaba ahí, le pasé ahí con las maletas y le pasé para que ella me chequeara.
¿Quién?
Ella, Pero igual, sí, claro. Yo soy la esposa del papá de ellas. O sea, no soy mamá directa de ella.
Nosotros nos guiamos por lo que dice acá.
No,
Dice que esa
yo te
maleta
entiendo.
Romero García, que es
maleta, por favor.
Pues, es que no tengo cómo hablar porque no es mía, por eso le digo.
¿Autoriza abrir la maleta?
Pues ábranla, pero igual eso no es mío.
Lo sorprendente de este caso.
What's surprising about this case is that as soon as we discover the narcotics, the stepmother tries to blame the stepdaughter.
Trata de inculpar a
She's saying that she didn't know anything, that the stepdaughter was behind
y
it.
que la hijastra sabía todo.
Señora, como le venía explicando, vamos a realizar una inspección a este equipaje, listo. ¿Autoriza que lo abramos?
Pues por eso te digo, yo autorizo que lo abran, pero no es mío. Porque es que, mira, yo es la primera vez que viajo. Yo viajo con ella es...
Simplemente esa maleta está en nombre de ella, se le revisa, se le hace el procedimiento común y corriente. Tenemos a la madrastra.
We now have the stepmother with a suitcase of the same weight, more or less.
Obviamente es de ella.
It's obviously hers, even though she denies it, because she knows what will happen when we inspect her suitcase and discover there's cocaine inside it.
Hay cocaína.
More than 200 passengers just arrived on a flight from the United States. They're starting the immigration process to officially enter the country. But for one of them, the situation just got complicated.
I was born in Cuba, but I've lived in the United States since 2007. When I made the arrangements for this trip, I went to the airport looking for a booklet that explains that with U.S. residency, you can be admitted into Colombia.
He cannot be admitted into the country because he's a Cuban citizen. And according to Resolution 6588 of the Ministry of Foreign Relations, Cubans require a visa to enter the country. He's arrived here with only his green card, because the airline allowed him to board the plane as such. But with only the green card, we can't allow him to enter.
Entonces, en este momento vamos a iniciar un proceso administrativo que es realizarle una inhibición. Debemos devolverlo al lugar de donde viene.
Apparently, the passenger was given the wrong information in the United States about Colombia's immigration requirements for Cuban citizens.
No hay posibilidad de hacer algo. Me siento...
Yo lo entiendo.
No, pedí plata, pedí todo, pedí vacaciones, he hecho millones de cosas y todavía no resultó nada.
For this Cuban passenger, the situation is frustrating.
I have talked to everyone. It's time, money. I took my vacation for this and I lost it. A week of vacation a year and I lost it. 1 week and it's gone.
In the reconciliation room, the anti-narcotics team has already uncovered a sizable stash of cocaine. And they still have one suitcase left to check.
Igual eso no es mío.
Esa maleta está en nombre de ella, se le revisa, ¿listo? Procedemos a realizar la inspección a la
We
maleta.
begin inspecting the bag and immediately find the same features as the stepdaughter's bag. A suitcase that has 2 jackets, and sewed into these 2 jackets are panels filled with cocaine.
The passenger insists that the suitcase is not hers, just as her stepdaughter did. But officers have enough evidence to conduct a chemical analysis they call a narco test.
Sustancia blanca pulverulenta.
Listo. Estaba sacando.
Color azul, pues color de cocaína. A partir del momento se queda capturada por el delito de porte y tráfico de estupefacientes. Tiene derecho a un abogado, tiene derecho a una llamada.
Me va a hacer un momento esto acá.
4, 6, 8, 10, 16 en esta. 2, 4, 6, 8.
The total seized, 32 packages of cocaine, weighing approximately 1 kilogram each.
¿Ya terminó el preembarque? ¿Cómo te sientes en este momento? ¿Qué te molesta?
Los oídos, no puedo respirar, no siento oídas.
The woman and her stepmother are arrested trying to smuggle approximately 32 kilograms of cocaine. If found guilty, they could face 10 to 30 years in prison. Back at immigration, the situation is tense.
Perdí plata, perdí todo, perdí vacaciones.
The officers are in the process of denying entry to a Cuban passenger who's a resident of the United States, but who arrived to Colombia without a visa.
Lo que pasa es que estoy en una situación que me siento... Estoy perdido. ¿Se puede hacer algo?
No, señor.
There is no solution. The laws are very strict.
The plane that will take the Cuban passenger back to the US is almost ready for takeoff.
Cuando te ponen una cosa esa, que tú firmas una cosa esta, o sea, es como si yo no hubiera presentado una visa porque a mí no me dio la gana.
Igual es un acto administrativo que no tiene reversa.
A denial of entry now doesn't mean that he will face future punishment.
Firme o no firme, usted va a ser inadmitido.
¿Sí? Y son leyes.
This is the law, and you won't be able to change it from one day to the next. No matter how big a scene you make, it's not going to solve anything.
¿Dónde firmo?
Acá,
Le entregó el pasaporte que es el actual.
Every year, about 1,000 people are denied entry into Colombia for not having the proper documentation. In the body scan room, anti-narcotics officers interrogate a new suspect, a passenger flying to Mexico.
¿Ese pasaporte hace cuánto lo sacó?
El martes.
¿Y cuándo te compraron los tiquetes?
El sábado.
La primera vez que sale del país, ¿verdad?
Sí, señor.
Para México.
¿Y dice que a qué se dedica?
Independiente.
Trabajador independiente. ¿Pero qué realiza? ¿Qué actividades?
De vender conos, o sea, lo que es de la calle.
¿Y no trabaja en una fábrica de guantes?
Sí,
¿Fábrica de guantes?
From the start, this gentleman wasn't given clear answers to the questions we were asking him. So we found it necessary to make him go through a full revision.
Procedimiento de control. Ahora me su equipaje de mano, por favor, que vamos a inspeccionar. ¿Usted me dice que su tiquete se lo compraron dónde?
Pues la verdad no sé, no sé.
¿No sabe? Y si yo le digo que su tiquete se lo compraron en México, ¿usted qué me dice?
Pues la verdad sí no sabría qué decirle, señor.
¿Usted me dice que se lo compró su familia o no? ¿Dónde se lo compró su familia? ¿Usted tiene familia en México?
No, señor.
¿No? Porque usted le compraron su tiquete en Toluca. Todas estas cosas al momento de hacer la
During the interview, all the little things start to add up to help us determine that this person has a high profile as a possible drug carrier.
hacia el exterior.
Vamos a hacer una verificación, vamos a pasar por la máquina, vamos a verificar que no lleve elementos extraños ya se han pegado dentro del cuerpo, ¿listo? Nos regaló una firma acá.
The passenger is not carrying anything illicit in his luggage, but he still has to go through the body scan. Only then will officers know if he's holding drugs. Every year, about 27 million passengers pass through El Dorado Airport. But not all of those passengers are human beings.
I am traveling from Florida to Colombia. I have to have her with me because my doctor said so. I suffer from seizures, so if I'm about to get sick, She lets me know immediately. She barks in a particular way, and I take the necessary precautions to prevent the seizure. This is why she has to be next to me on the plane. This is her service dog permit. They always tell her that she's so cute and pretty. They don't say those things to me, just to her. That's how it goes.
Así es.
In the body scan room, officers continue to inspect a passenger headed to Mexico. The scanner projects low-intensity X-ray beams at high speed, obtaining a digital image in less than 5 seconds. And the image shows something abnormal in the young man's stomach.
There are foreign objects in his body, small capsules that could contain any type of narcotic, and it's impossible to determine which at this time. It could be heroin, it could be cocaine, or it could be any other type of narcotic. All we know is that he has foreign objects in his body based on what we can see in the X-ray image.
Caballero, tome asiento, por favor. No me da color, ¿eh? ¿No?
No toma una, señora.
Listo.
El señor tenía.
The gentleman has foreign objects in his body, so we're placing him under arrest. This starts the legal process that will eventually land him with the district attorney's office. First, we will transfer him to the closest medical unit. Once there, a radiologist will get him hospitalized, where the suspect will be under observation until he naturally passes each one of the objects out of his body.
Once the capsules are expelled, officers will determine what type of substance and the amount he's carrying, which will determine his sentence. In cases like this, the punishment could range between 8 and 12 years in prison. Every year, El Dorado handles around 100,000 minors traveling with their parents. If the minor is accompanied by only one parent, the law requires additional conditions for travel. A woman flying to Madrid with her daughter finds herself in a fix. Immigration picks up on a serious issue with her papers.
For any Colombian minor to leave Colombia, the traveling parent must show a permit signed by the parent staying behind. In the case of this minor, when checking the fingerprint on the permit with the father's fingerprint, it is evident that the fingerprints are completely different.
The mother now faces criminal charges, and the girl must be turned over to Child Protective Services.
Yo consigo todo como sea, pero por favor. No, en este caso ya hay un documento que está falso. Entonces necesito que me comuniques con algún familiar acá para entregar la niña. Aquí en Bogotá yo no tengo nadie aquí. Bueno, si no tienes a nadie acá en Bogotá, toca entregársela bien a policía menor. No, por favor, no me digan eso, por favor. Ella nunca en la vida ha estado con nadie que no haga conmigo, por favor. Colaboren como sea. No, ya le expliqué cómo era.
In the midst of an emotionally charged moment, El Dorado's officers must remain focused. It's their duty to prevent minors from being taken from the country illegally. Officers from the Anti-Narcotics Division need a new suspect to the body scan room. This time, it's a passenger booked on the next flight to Madrid.
Sí, señor. ¿Hacia dónde?
Madrid.
Hace favor, me firma aquí y su cédula, el cual le vamos a realizar un control por parte de la Policía Nacional en pasarlo por este Boeing para verificar que no lleven sustancias en su organismo o en su cuerpo.
The inspection officer knows after asking some questions that this man is going to a place that is a high trafficking destination for us. He is going directly to Europe, so there's a good possibility that he is carrying drugs. So we proceed with a body scanner.
Si me va a colaborar en esta posición aquí, así con los brazos a la cabeza mirando fijamente hacia acá.
Spain and Mexico are considered critical high drug trafficking destinations. 80% of the narcotics-related arrests at El Dorado are tied to people heading to those two countries. The X-ray images indicate that this passenger isn't carrying drugs in his body.
Sí, sí. La Nacional, vamos a hacer una inspección a su equipaje. Cosas acá.
On average, the anti-narcotics team finds 15 to 20 suitcases containing drugs every month.
The officer begins to inspect the suitcase and finds that it has a different smell from that of a regular suitcase.
Un equipaje normal. Vamos a hacer un de chuzón, su equipaje, punzón.
A strong smell of cocaine.
Immigration officers hold a woman in custody, attempting to take her daughter to Europe using apparently falsified documents.
Estamos esperando a que nos envíen la dactilar del registraduría para descartar de pronto de que no hayan colocado otro dedito, porque en ocasiones simplemente le toman el dedo izquierdo y acá aparece el derecho, pues obviamente no va a coincidir. Debemos descartar que no se trate de esa misma persona.
Now, her fate is in the hands of a document examiner and a fingerprint expert. They will determine if the document is true or false.
In this case, we verify the documents two ways. One, the document examiner will check the authenticity of the document, and two, the fingerprint expert will see if the fingerprint stamped on this permit corresponds with the father's fingerprint on the birth certificate.
The fingerprint expert weighs in. The permit is forged.
We were able to verify that the document was legal, but there is evidence that the fingerprint was not the father's.
With the expert's verdict, the officers continue the legal process by handing the mother over to the Colombian National Police.
¿Es el informe pericial?
Sí, señor.
Esta es la huella.
Sí.
La huella.
Y las copias como tal, lo que es el pasaporte, la cédula y los pasaportes. Listo. Entonces le entregamos ahí a la señora y la menor.
En promedio mensualmente.
On a monthly basis, we find about 17 cases of forged documents connected to people attempting to leave Colombia.
De Colombia.
The anti-narcotics unit shifts their focus to the next international departure. Destination, the Dominican Republic.
Muchas gracias.
They pick up a few passengers for a secondary inspection in the body scan room.
¿Este es su equipaje que usted chequeó? ¿No? Este es su ticket, ¿cierto? Sí. ¿Me regala por favor el número de su ticket?
21
21.
95 93.
¿Es este mismo?
Sí.
Muy bien. Y este es su nombre, ¿cierto?
Sí.
O sea que este fue el equipaje que usted chequeó en el counter.
Pero yo no, no es mío.
Pero usted lo chequeó.
No.
¿De quién es entonces?
No sé.
Bueno, este equipaje está a nombre suyo. Vamos a hacer una inspección. ¿Nos permite la apertura?
Pero si no fue de hombre.
Pero el equipaje está a nombre suyo.
Pero esa maleta no es mía.
El equipaje está a nombre suyo.
The officers uncover suspicious-looking boxes.
¿Tiene más cajas ahí?
Sí, creo. No más grande.
Señora, venga, póngase de pie, por favor. Aquí estamos a realizar acá. Vamos a realizar una prueba de narcotex para verificar qué tipo de contenido es el que tiene usted en este equipaje, ¿listo?
Pero señor, ese no es mi equipaje.
Este equipaje está a nombre suyo. Es decir, que usted lo chequeó en la aerolínea.
Pero ¿cómo si yo salgo ando con esto?
Por eso.
que tiene el pasaporte.
Este es su equipaje. Usted chequeó un equipaje, ¿cierto?
No, yo no he chequeado equipaje.
No. ¿Y esto que le dieron entonces qué es?
Eso me lo pasó la señorita y punto.
Esto quiere decir que este equipaje corresponde a su nombre porque aquí está su nombre y está con su ticket, está bajo su poder. Listo, vamos a hacer una prueba de narcotex para verificar qué tipo de contenido es lo que tiene usted aquí. La prueba indica que es positivo para cocaína.
Una sustancia beta bla bla.
Girón, un favorcito, si me copia, usted se podría acercar ahí a la plazoleta de comidas. Al parecer tiene una situación ahí con unos menores de edad.
Por favor,
Ya los ubiqué aquí en las cámaras.
El aeropuerto de
El Dorado Airport is one of the safest in Latin America due to its investment in security technology. There are cutting-edge systems including infrared cameras and ground radar. It helps us maintain the perimeter, which in an airport is the first line of security.
Hay un ciudadano para hacer la respectiva registro. En este momento se encuentra ahí debajo de las pantallas. Tiene como un maletín a la espalda. Frente a los sensores de la puerta 4 es tal vez el
It may be the most secure airport because of a robust surveillance system with over 700 state-of-the-art cameras inside the terminal and a team monitoring the images 24 hours a day.
para ese fin.
Tenemos una intrusión en satélite 5 hacia 6.
Que ya le solicito a la policía.
And of course, the fact that all of the agencies are involved in policing the airport adds a superior level of security.
In just 4 months, El Dorado's surveillance system was responsible for detecting over 100 crimes. Back at the body scan room, an anti-narcotics officer suspects a passenger may have drugs in his carry-on.
Vamos a hacer un leve chuzón a su equipaje, pero me rompe la maleta. Y tranquilo, caballero. Si no llena nada, pues no hay problema, ¿sí? Y nosotros le pagamos el equipaje. Directamente.
You immediately know when a person is carrying because they'll look for excuses to avoid getting their bag checked thoroughly.
Su equipaje. Lo que ya usted. Va a hacer una prueba de narcotex. ¿Listo?
We remove a white substance. A field test is conducted.
Está para positivo.
El azul celeste.
The light blue color indicates that it's positive for an alkaloid. It's cocaine.
Cocaína. Ahora. De espaldas.
Sus derechos son, primero, a guardar silencio. Todo lo que diga podrá ser usado en su contra. Tiene derecho a un abogado.
Even though they've arrested the passenger, the officers must complete the search. And to their surprise, it turns out the bag has more than one false compartment. The passenger is arrested for possession and trafficking of narcotics. For this type of crime, the law establishes a sentence of 8 to 12 years in prison. In In the body scan room, anti-narcotics officers arrest this female passenger after finding cocaine in her bag.
La prueba indica que es positivo para cocaína. A partir de ese momento, entonces, ¿qué vamos a hacer? Nos vamos a dirigir hasta la estación más cercana, vamos a iniciar con su proceso de judicialización y posteriormente la vamos a entregar a disposición de la Fiscalía, que es donde usted va a llevar su caso. ¿Listo? Va a tomar contacto con su abogado y con su abogado se entenderá. Si usted dice que la maleta no es suya, eso no es responsabilidad de nosotros. Ya usted lo hace ver con su abogado y el fiscal que va a llevar su caso. Muy bien. Permítame, por favor, todos los elementos de valor que usted posee en estos momentos. ¿Tiene más celulares?
Sí, ¿tiene joyas de valor?
Ahí deja una de las manos atrás. Tome asiento, por favor. Tome asiento. ¿Cuántos años tiene usted, señora? 24. Encontramos panelas de cocaína en el equipaje de la cabina. Siga conmigo, por favor.
The anti-narcotics officers find approximately 15 kilograms of cocaine. For this amount, this woman could face 10 to 30 years of prison.
¿Cuánto dinero en efectivo trae en este momento?
The passenger heading to Madrid attempted to smuggle more than 2 kilograms of cocaine, hidden in false compartments of a carry-on bag.
The majority of drug carriers know. Everyone knows what they carry, and that they are committing a crime. That they're playing a game of catch me if you can. It's that simple. So when the drugs are found, they put up an act and become defensive.
Pues abranla, pero igual eso no es mío. ¿Cuál maleta? Tú me dices, es esta.
So they start to say, this isn't my bag. They cry, they scream, and sometimes they even faint. But eventually, like in all of these cases, we suss them out.
The most common cases at the airport are those that have ingested drugs.
The passenger going to Mexico was captured attempting to smuggle almost 1 kilogram of cocaine in capsules.
The second most common location, in their luggage. A lot of times, they use luggage with false bottoms, or they soak their clothing in drugs.
We calculate that we have seized about 236 kilograms of cocaine hydrochloride. And I'm only talking about cocaine, and I'm only talking about the El Dorado airport. We haven't won the war yet, but we've been very successful at winning smaller battles.